What do you want? You want this guy? If that guy says, I want him on the team.
Right.
Got it.
But
What am
on
I
the
doing?
other
That's what I'm doing.
side-
If I'm Joel Embiid, man, I'm asking for Daryl Morey to be fired.
Clippers are stepping back from these trade talks about James Harden.
The James Harden situation is off the rails at this point. The NBA season has officially begun. The Philadelphia 76ers would have without a doubt won their debut game if James Harden was there. Yet, in the latest turn of events, James Harden wanted to be there. The Sixers didn't let him. So what's going on in Philadelphia? Why did the Philadelphia 76ers not allow James Harden to play in the first game of the season? And what is James Harden doing currently? Oh. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're on a huge upload streak to open up the NBA season, and now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Leading up to the season, I spammed predictions at you guys consistently. Michael Porter Jr. needed over 5.5 rebounds in his season debut. Tyreek Hill just needed a touchdown, and Steph Curry just needed 1 point. Shout out to those that tailed. For those of you guys that were able to make money, we're giving away our picks for free all season long for the NBA and NFL on my Instagram at TheFlightMike. And right now, when you use promo code microphone on Prize Picks, they'll match your deposit up until $100. Thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The James Harden situation over the entire offseason was an unmitigated disaster. James Harden announced that he wanted to be traded from the Philadelphia 76ers a few hours before NBA free agency took place, but since he had virtually no leverage and there weren't that many people interested in signing him as a free agent outright, he had no choice but to opt in to his second year of his player option in order for the Philadelphia 76ers to potentially trade him. This was a little bit of a finesse. It was more to prove to James Harden that even if you were to opt out and hit free agency, no one will give you the money that you want, because James Harden was frustrated at the fact that Daryl Morey reportedly told him that he would pay him a maximum contract after taking a pay cut the year prior. When that didn't happen, well, James Harden decided to go on a huge tour and slander Daryl Morey's name, including this wildly underappreciated clip of him going to China where Daryl Morey's disliked and saying this.
Is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
I don't think you guys understand how wild this is. A few years ago, Daryl Morey tweeted out hashtag free Hong Kong. This resulted in a gigantic stir and even resulted in China deciding not to work with the NBA anymore, which is a huge market for the NBA and explains why Daryl Morey is disliked in China. But with that being said, throughout the entire offseason, the Philadelphia 76ers did their absolute best to trade James Harden to the Los Angeles Clippers, which was his top option. Problem is the fact that the Los Angeles Clippers just don't value James Harden at what the Philadelphia 76ers value him at. As a matter of fact, multiple trade proposals were given for James Harden, which resulted in Adrian Wojnarowski giving us the latest update just before the start of the season.
With the start of the season now, at least for the foreseeable future, the Clippers are stepping back from these trade talks about James Harden. They are essentially pausing them. They have talked with Philadelphia for months about a trade. They've made their best offer for Harden, and they are now going to start their season and see what this team looks like with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Paul George. Now, the Clippers may revisit this at some point, but they know they're the only bidder for James Harden. They're the only team that's made a serious offer. They don't want to bid against themselves. And again, while they may revisit this later in the season, I think the Sixers have to wonder, have we already gotten the best offer we're going to get for James Harden, especially as the games start to peel off the calendar? And if you're the Clippers, Why offer more when there's fewer and fewer games that James Harden can play for you?
So for the most part, people are seeing this as it all coming down to Terrence Mann. Why wouldn't the Clippers trade Terrence Mann for James Harden? Well, the answer's simple. Los Angeles Clippers already have the oldest roster in the NBA. Terrence Mann is their second youngest player on their roster, and if they traded James Harden for Terrence Mann, they would have the oldest roster in the NBA. That's not necessarily a recipe for success. But apart from that, we've already specified earlier, what makes you think James Harden would move the needle at all? You have Russell Westbrook, you have Paul George, you have Kawhi Leonard. Assuming that your core pieces could stay healthy with the supporting cast that they have, that should be enough to at least enter the conversation to potentially represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. Again, assuming everybody is healthy, which is a pretty big if whenever it comes to the Los Angeles Clippers. What makes you think James Harden will fix anything? James Harden has had a recent history of injury issues. James Harden has a history of choking in the playoffs. And James Harden has a history of finding a way to bitch about each and every situation that he's been in, even if he is getting paid a max contract or offered a max contract like he was before leaving the Houston Rockets, even if he's being paired with two other superstars like he was in Brooklyn, or he is currently with the Philadelphia 76ers, or in the case of the 76ers, one superstar, the defending MVP, and a very deep supporting cast. Even if he is paired with the general manager that without a doubt changed his life, somehow, some way, James Harden will find a reason to complain. Now, following the entire offseason where James Harden promised hell for the Philadelphia 76ers, he ended up missing training camp for the most part. Now, there's a report that suggests that he was taking care of his mother and that's why he missed training camp, but when you pair that with the fact that he's been promising hell for the Philadelphia 76ers for weeks on end, it's a little suspect, but at the same time, I don't want to go there in the event that he was actually taking care of his mother. And to be honest, James Harden has had a history of pulling stuff like this, missing camp, throwing basketballs at his teammates. So this would all lead up to the very first game of the regular season versus the Milwaukee Bucks, where Damian Lillard played a phenomenal game in his debut, dropping 39 points on the 76ers in the first game of the Sixers season. James Harden actually wanted to show up to this game, believe it or not. Yes, according to Chris B. Haynes, James Harden went to the airport to join the 76ers on their road trip and was denied entry onto the team plane by a security official, which is a gigantic reverse Uno if you think about it. So this was very confusing for a lot of us, and you might be wondering what the hell is going on at this point. And it's very clear. A few days ago, the Philadelphia 76ers and James Harden had a conversation where they said to him, instead of going on the opening road trip, the team directed Harden to report to the practice facility and work with development and medical staffs to get ready to begin the season as soon as possible. Pretty much what they're saying is,
bro, you're out of shape. You can't play for us yet.
So James Harden decided to act like he was still coming off of his MVP season and showed up straight to join the team for their road trip, and the Sixers essentially looked at him and said,
who do you think you are? You're no longer MVP James Harden. You're 34-year-old James Harden. And if you want to be a part of the team, you have to follow instructions.
I think this is the Sixers trying to mitigate his ego a little bit, which resulted in multiple NBA legends giving their opinion on the situation. For instance, Charles Barkley, who has played for multiple teams throughout his career, saying this.
It's not tough to figure out. James Harden can't come back to Philly. Them fans ain't gonna have it. Well, when you play for a team, you have an obligation to the fan base. You didn't show up for work for 10 days. Take time off because you unhappy you ain't getting traded. James Harden got 1 year left on his deal. He's not gonna get a good deal.
Kevin Garnett thinking that Daryl Morey's the problem and that Joel Embiid should do something about it.
This could have been resolved a long time ago. This is the bullshit whatever dude name is in Marley, the GM in Philly. These are games. He could have done this in the summer. This could have been over. If I'm Joel Embiid, man, I'm asking for Daryl Morey to be fired and get the out. I thought Elton Brand was the GM. What the going on? Like, bro,
Let me tell you what James
if I am Embiid, I am livid. I am livid. Man, y'all should have got this problem out of here. Got this out of here. He's the MVP, bro. He ain't in no championship talks. And he gonna have a goddamn extension too. He's sitting back watching all this. Maxey watching all this. All those guys, man, the league watching this. So, for good business, man, I just hope that the Sixers and James Harden come to some resolve and just get it over with.
And finally, how Bob Myers, the former general manager of the Golden State Warriors, would handle this situation.
I would, if it was me, right, I go to Steph Curry, I go to Joel Embiid. What do you want? What do you want? You want this guy? If that guy says, I want him on the team.
Right.
Got it.
But
What am
on
I
the
doing?
other
That's what I'm
side-
doing.
This would all bring us to the fact that the 76ers are once again in hot water with the NBA as a result of James Harden. You see, recently the NBA has created a brand new participation policy where they created rules for resting players in the 2023 to 2024 season, particularly star players. And here's what teams have to do under the participation policy. The focus of the policy is stars, which the NBA defines as any player who has made an all-star or all-NBA team in any of the previous 3 seasons. That includes the likes of Luka, LeBron, and Nikola Jokic, who were named all-stars in the 2022 to 2023 season. But this extends all the way to Ben Simmons and Mike Conley. They're technically considered to be stars because they were named all-stars in the 2020 to 2021 season. So according to this, teams underneath the new participation policy have to manage its roster to ensure that no more than one star player is unavailable for the same game. They have to ensure that star players are available for all national television and NBA in-season tournament games, maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home and road games, and refrain from any long-term shutdown in which a star player stops playing games. If resting a healthy player, they have to ensure that player is present at the games and visible to fans. In this particular instance, James Harden is violating the final rule. Now, at the same time, the NBA stated that players that are 35 years old on opening night or had logged 34,000 regular season minutes or appeared in a combined 1,000 regular season and playoff games, the NBA will allow pre-approved designated back-to-back allowance. And James Harden is one of those players that fall into those categories. At the end of the day, I think the situation is actually working out to the 76ers' favor, and I feel like James Harden may have needed this reality check because it seems like he's starting to buy in a little bit, believe it or not. Clippers said that they don't want him, and I don't think this is a scenario where the 76ers were putting their foot down saying,
You're gonna listen to us.
I mean, Crispy Haynes says in this article that when he arrived at the airport to board the team flight, he was stopped by a security official who notified him that he was not permitted to accompany the team. General manager Elton Brand and head coach Nick Nurse relayed the message that the organization prefers he accepts and follows their workout plan, which includes staying at the practice facility while the team is away. Harden was frustrated with the decision, according to Haynes, but he left the airport shortly after the conversation. It is safe to assume that the 76ers are looking to avoid any potential distractions to start the season and eliminate any questions about Harden's return during the trip. Harden would have to be on the 76ers bench if he accompanied the team, keeping the former MVP's drama top of mind during the nationally televised season opener. While the latest report on the ongoing saga will surely do that anyway, it's clear that Harden is hoping to return to the court soon to prove to possible trade suitors that he is still the lethal playmaker who averaged 21 points and a league-leading 10.7 assists per game last season. So that probably means that his first opportunity to make his debut would be on October 29th versus the Portland Trail Blazers. So this whole situation is getting even more interesting, and I really wonder how the 76ers plan on handling this. Harden boosting his value as much as he could is probably his best way to get off of this team. I don't know who would want to take a flyer on Harden. It would probably be a championship contender that got off to a slow start, that is desperate to salvage their season, and you're not really going to figure out who those teams are until 2 or 3 months down the line. I'm thinking like a team similar to last year's Dallas Mavericks, even though last year's Dallas Mavericks were 3rd in the West until they traded for Kyrie Irving. Teams like that feel like they're one piece away that'll get them where they need to go. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. What do you think about the latest James Harden saga? Do you think the Clippers are foolish for rejecting the Terrence Mann trade for James Harden? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.